Anyways, that's my background. I can remember, it's clear, I was about 8 years old or 9 years old. They used to come once a month to see their parents, and on Sundays, and we would be there, and we'd listen, and all they talked about was the eventual Israel. And I never forget, somebody said to him, will there ever be a Jewish state? And he said, I'm certain there will be a Jewish state. It'll probably be 50 or 100 years. This is 1938 I'm talking about. And he said that, but there will be a Jewish state. He never dreamt that it would come so soon. But unfortunately, he died 3 years before it happened, so he didn't live to see it. So I had that. Although, interestingly enough, I'm the only one in the family in Israel. From all of that, none of the other children or grandchildren or now great-grandchildren moved to Israel. Although I have a grandson, my own grandson, who is in Israel now, has come to Israel, and he's living there and will live there. As far as, like, Dodo became Hadassah Witso council president in '53, just after we got married, and she was from Kingston. She came here. My father was very involved. He was at the Hadassah Bazaar. He looked after all the money and was a part of that. And Frances Sobel had been the council president, and when her term expired, there just didn't seem to be anybody ready to do it. Dodo was only 23, but Mrs. Hershkowitz, the one who ran the dinners at the bazaar, was Mrs. Hadassah here. She had been the president, but that was all. She was quite old at that time. And she was a very good friend of my father's. And I don't know who suggested what, but they suggested that Dodo become the council president at 23. Which she did, and she was president here for 4 years, and then she went on to be regional vice president. She was always on the national executive, and that's how we got to Israel in '62 on our first trip. I was a professor at U of T, and I had a sabbatical coming up, and there was a chap from Tel Aviv University who had come to University of Toronto on his sabbatical, and we started a research project, and I went back. I took my sabbatical at Tel Aviv University to finish the project, which we did. I spent the whole year really researching Israel. Instead of doing academic research, I just tried to figure out what makes that country tick. And we were there for a year. We went on July the 12th, '78. We came back July 12th, '79. We came back to our home, and within 3 weeks, we looked around at each other and we said, what's wrong? Canada's changed. Of course, Canada hadn't changed, we had. And we went back in December. I was supposed to go back for 3 days to give a paper. We went back for 3 weeks. We stayed with friends there at that time, and that made up our mind. And I came back. Unfortunately, my father got sick and passed away in 1980, and then my mother got sick, and Dodo's mother got sick in '81. So I had arranged a visiting professorship at Tel Aviv, and I had arranged a leave of absence from U of T, and we had to delay those, so we finally went in '82. We've never looked back. When I come back here, I can't wait to get back. What is it about Israel? The people. It's just the people. And that's what you really notice the difference here. Israel's not the I generation. People are, I talked about when I grew up, how the Jewish community was one Jewish community. Well, we lost that. And it started in the '70s, really, but the late '60s, early '70s, we lost that. And the more acceptance we had, the more we lost that togetherness that we had as a Jewish community. In Israel, we have it. And just every day is exciting.